Okay, so let me just go through your personal development for success. Now, I've been working with lots of agents because, as you know, I'm building the sales team, and I'm not only building the sales team on numbers around the country, but also working with a lot of different individual agents over the last 2 years. And some of the learnings I just want to share some of the learnings I've had. Let's be frank, not everyone's going to make it in this industry. And the reason why I'm increasingly frank about that is because not everyone does. It's number one is sales is really hard. It's not impossible. It is very possible to be a huge success in sales. However, it doesn't just come. It doesn't just land on your plate. And I just want to go through some characteristics that I believe are what I've learned. So real estate sales exposes you where you're really at. It exposes our motivation. It exposes how serious am I actually. And it demands that we work on ourselves. It demands that we work on ourselves. Because I mean, I've got a lot to say around this, but what I'm realizing this year is that, especially, and I'm in sales just as much as you are, I'm not personally selling properties at this time. However, I am building a sales team, and it's the same. I've also got to do lead generation. I'm going to be working with folk. I'm going to be finding out agent needs, seeing where I can meet their needs, and building the team. It's the process is the same, whether you're agent attracting or whether you're selling properties. And it's exposed a lot when it comes to my motivation. It's exposed me when it comes to where do I need to grow. It's exposed to me on my daily routines. It's exposed to me, am I really serious about this? Do I really want to change my life for the better? All those kind of things. And I think it's a really good thing, to be honest. In this economy, in this environment that we're in, which pushes us down every day of the week. If you read the news, but the only positive thing, I mean, even the Springbok lost last week. I mean, for heaven help us. So there's a lot of things pushing us down, and in this environment. But however, there is huge opportunities for us actually in business and to operate successfully in a career. I've told you about, my family's in the industrial environment. Their turnover is down 20% this year compared to last year. The real estate market is down 50%. There's 300,000 agents that are no longer going to be in the market. Out of 30% of agents in America are no longer in the market. However, in the midst of that, so this tests our motivation. It tests our skills levels. And a lot of what it's saying is we need to get back to basics. It really it also tests our personal development when it comes to what are the issues I've got, I may have, the fears. I mean, I was quite inspired, talking to one or two agents who are really working with fear, overcoming fear to get going, get themselves going, getting themselves to make things happen. And I'm going to dwell on this section for a little while on your personal development for success, because for two reasons. First of all, I don't have the capacity to manage everyone on a day-to-day basis. I just don't have the capacity. I wish I did, but I don't. And second of all, our model is that we all work remotely. And there's great benefits for that. The commission split with EXP is very generous. The upside on EXP is extremely generous. It's different to a Remax, or a Rawson office down the road, where you go in every day, and you expect your manager to lead you by the nose. Your leads may or may not come through the door. That's not our model. And I don't believe that model actually is going to work anymore in the future. So, and the second thing is the reason why I'm going to this and having this as a foundation is because you're not going to succeed as an agent if your expectations are that someone's going to do it for you. Someone's going to be motivating you every day. And so I'm actually doing this because I want you to succeed. And if we dwell on what we're saying today and for the next half an hour, and really kind of catch it, not only mentally but in your heart and soul, it'll give you a better chance of succeeding. And as I said, I'm not saying this out of theory. I'm doing it out of practice. I know I have lots of agents I'm working with every day. I'm working 14-hour days working with agents around the country. I'm getting a more and more an indication. I know he's going to make it. I know he's not going to make it because of the characteristics which I want to go through. So this, you might have seen behind my wall on my screen, these words, which I've got: determined, collaborative, accountable, purpose-driven, accountable, ethical, productive, purpose-driven, disciplined, persistent, consistent, growing, excellent, dynamic, happening. Now these, as we build out our EXP team, these are factors which I would love to see in our team. Are we determined? Are we collaborative? Now, collaborative, ethical, purpose-driven, these are hard issues. These are values issues. But when it comes to performance characteristics, things like determination, being productive, being disciplined, being consistent, being excellent, being dynamic, showing energy every day. These are critical things for us to succeed. So hear me out. These are not just kind of words on a screen, but these are critical words for us to develop and grow and to succeed. Okay, so I've put together 4 things which I think are super important for us to for agents to succeed. And if they don't have these things, then I think they have a less chance of succeeding in the long term. So characteristics of top achievers. I don't know why I put 2 top achievers. So I've also watched numerous YouTube videos, listened to hundreds of podcasts, literally. I probably, between YouTube videos and podcasts, listen to an hour or 2 a day. I don't actually do much with, probably don't have much of a life, but, and these are things I'm seeing consistently across the board. Now, maybe some of you are experienced agents, and the vast majority of us are relatively inexperienced in this industry. And so some of these things are even more applicable to you than they would for another agent, more experienced agent. So courage is super important, because we feel fear. We need to get out there and actually do things that we may not feel naturally wanting to do, but we do it anyway. We're not afraid of doing what it takes. We say no to things. We overcome rejection. I don't know. There's something which I've got on my wall behind me, which one of the things I've written down. I think something to the effect is that success is on the other side of rejection. So what we accept is what we're happy with is what we're going to get. And then secondly, for overcoming rejection is the key to success. But something like that. So if we are overly afraid of rejection, and I think this speaks to myself, maybe all of you, maybe the rest of us are okay with rejection, but rejection is a big issue for me, and it's a big thing that I've had to overcome and still have to overcome every day. I have to remind myself every day when I make my phone calls, I welcome rejection. Well, rejection is a good thing. I love it. Rejection shows that I'm making progress. But having courage is critical, and sometimes what encourages me is that when I see others that have succeeded in what they're doing, underlying it is the fact is that they've overcome rejection. It's not like they didn't get rejection and that's why they succeeded. It's in spite of rejection, in spite of the fact they've thrown 100 people. And only 10 people want to talk to you. In fact, what I've realized is actually it's about 90% of people that want to talk to you. If we do things in the right way, the vast majority of people are actually happy to talk to you. And what I've realized is that in my fear of rejection is actually, a lot of it is actually irrelevant because actually most people are happy to talk. So, hey, how's the Czechol? Not Czechol, Lebo. Right, 2 minutes later. How's it? Just join in. So we find that rejection is often less of an issue than we realize, but still we need to overcome rejection. So courage is critical. I think courage is critical for to be a top achiever. So just to level, just put it in. I'm going through key characteristics of top achievers. Yeah. Second one is perseverance. This game is a game of attrition. Now, I think this is one of the few things which I know I can do, or at least be on the same, be in the game on it. I just realized I can work harder than anyone. I don't feel like I've got a lot of skills. What I can do is try and work harder than anyone. And I do run ultra marathons for fun. Not this year because I'm building my EXP team. But typically for the last 6 or 7 years, I've run at least an 80K event. Every year. Last year I ran 100 times around Zoo Lake. Some of you might not know. Zoo Lake is a 1 kilometer. It's a lake in Joburg down the road from where we are now, and it's 1 kilometer around the lake. And I did it 100 times. And you just keep going. You just keep going, and eventually, and the thing is, it's a journey of ups and downs. When you're out there for 13 to 14 hours, there's ups and downs. What we as ultra runners always say: if you're in a valley, you've got to believe that there's always going to be a mountaintop. And when you're on a mountaintop, you've got to know that there's always going to be a valley. And that's part of our journey as estate agents, is that it's an up and down journey. Like, yes, I've got someone who's going to be joining our EXP team. It's like so lekker. It's like awesome, man, because and then 2 hours later, I've got someone who just doesn't see the light and says, no, it's not for them. No, it's not for them. Or otherwise, I've got 5 people that are going to promise to register this week, and then none of them have. Now, I'm not dissing anyone, because everyone is in their own journey, and I took 2 years to see the light on EXP. So I know that I would be patient to know that everyone's got their own journey. So no, it's not a thing on anyone. But it's more for me as a salesperson, and you as a salesperson are going to be plugging away, and sometimes you're going to get a victory, and sometimes you're not. But that's the idea of perseverance. So you keep going no matter what happens. Am I dictated by what I see as in my results? And this is what I got in one of my affirmations, actually, is that I'm going to keep going no matter what the results. I'm going to focus on process, not the results. Are we focusing on process, or we're focusing on results? I would suggest that we focus on process and getting better at that process. The results then happen. I was inspired the other day. I was talking to Professor Siwe, and Professor Siwe was asking from Lisa, apparently, she's doing door knocking, and from Lisa told her, you keep following up until they say no. And that is identical to what I've been listening to on one of the podcasts or YouTube channels I was watching. You've got to keep following up until that person's in the grave. And that's inspired me. How good is that? You keep following up until that person's in the grave. And that's really inspired me. That's a perseverance. You don't stop following up just because someone said no on the second time, or you can't get hold of them the second time. You literally call them every single day until you get hold of them. And that's what perseverance is. And that's what our sales process is. And that's what's going to help us succeed, is that perseverance and constant following up. That resilience and grit. I go through ups and downs in motivation, but I keep going anyway. I'm not dictated by my emotion. I'm dictated by the vision and the actions I've got to do. And guys, I live this. This is not theory. And I mean, as entrepreneurs, and every one of us are actually building our businesses, this has been my journey for the last 30 years. And we've got to get up and do it anyway. Okay, so number 1 is courage. Number 2 is perseverance. Number 3 is independence. And this is increasing. This is really important. And this is one of the things I've been debating with, like with Temba, for example. We want team members on board, and not with Temba's guys that he's working with, but I do a lot of presentations every second Monday. As you know, many of you know, I do a presentation to the folk that want to come into the industry, and then I do one-on-ones afterwards for those that are keen to talk further. And when someone asks, well, sometimes they're asking us just because it's a technical question, but sometimes they're asking it is so do you bring in leads, or like. The kind of question it indicates is that the answer is going to be from outside, not the answers coming from themselves. When they're asking the question from that heart, I know that this person's not going to make it in real estate, and then I'm very frank with them to say, I don't think this is for you. Are you self-motivated? Now, part of self-motivating is to be in an environment where folk are motivated. And so you can learn from them. Actually, there's a bunch of YouTube videos which you can get from on motivation. I was listening to the Iron Man guy. What's that guy's name? Robert Downey Jr. this morning. When I was shaving, I was listening to a speech that he did. And so the motivation doesn't mean that I'm not looking to people around me for motivation, but the motivation is driven by myself. The need for that motivation is driven by myself. And I'm not looking to others for their success. I'm driven because I've got my own personal mission. I want to support my family. I want to do better. I want to succeed because of this and that reason. This is why we talk about our why. If we don't have a strong why, we're going to lose that motivation. What I'm seeing is the agents that I'm seeing are succeeding, and those are the agents I'm working with that in different respects that are kind of going somewhere, but I kind of feel like they're going somewhere, or they've got something to prove, or they're vastly driven to change their own environment. Actually, I'm quite inspired. I was talking to a chap last night who's interested in joining. 19-year-old kid. Yes, so this Oak is driven. He said he's the best agent. He will be my best team member. I said, cool, come on, let's make it happen. And he's got a sense of drive. And he said if his family, his dad's lost his job, and he's living at home, and he's got to bring the cash. Otherwise, his family's stuffed. When a guy like that, they're not going to work with that because he's self-motivated, self-driven. Whether he'll make it or not, I'm not sure. But I do know that he's got a damn good chance to make it. So when I'm talking about independence, you're using the tools that EXP and myself are providing, as opposed to saying, well, EXP and David need to be my solution, and if I don't succeed, it's because David hasn't supported me well enough. Now, whether that's true or not, I'm not sure. And one of the things that I realized quickly when I joined the EXP team, which was a massive move for me as in my career and in my just philosophically and everything in many respects. And I was looking in some respects to Steve Johnson to be supporting me. And I realized after my first meeting with him, he's a wonderful guy, one of the most amazing people I know, one of the biggest hearts guys I know, but he is not a one-on-one kind of pastoral kind of guy. He's very bad at it. Not because of his heart, just because that's not the way he's wired. And then I realized very quickly after that first meeting, if I'm looking to Steve Johnson for my success, I'm wasting my time. I must move on quickly. And that's kind of what I'm almost saying to each of you, is if you're looking to me for your success, don't waste your time. Because first of all, I'm not good enough for that. And second of all, if you're looking to me for success, you're not taking ownership of where you're at. You're not taking full ownership of where you're at. And then you use me as a tool. And I unashamedly can be used as your tool, so I'm using unashamedly, I'm copying what Steve Johnson doing in many different respects. He's provided a whole lot of good tools. I am just taking them off the shelf and using them. I am using Steve, but I'm not looking to him for my success because he ain't going to give it. I've got a bit more of a generous pastoral heart than Steve Johnson. So I have to keep saying to myself that I'm not doing you any good by supporting you. I'm supporting you with resources and direction, but I can't support you with do this and do that. That's got to come from you. And I'm not, as I said earlier, it's not because I don't want to do it. It's because I know that the only way you can succeed is by you taking full responsibility for yourself and say, damn it, I don't care what the world's going to do or not. I'm going to take responsibility and I'm going to use David for whatever he can give me. But it comes from you. This is critical, guys, for your long-term success. And guys like Bill Gates, or let's take famous entrepreneurs. That is their attitude. They are saying they are taking it themselves and they are driving with it. And I'm going to use whatever resources. The nice thing about EXP and David and Cora's team is that there's so much that Steve Johnson and myself and EXP are giving. There's so much that you can just grab off the shelf and use. And of course, besides all the YouTube channels and the EXP colleagues that we have and so forth, there's so much generosity. You can just take it and use it. Okay. Then the last one is discipline. It's a big question of being consistent. Are we doing the same thing week after week after week? Are we creating strong habits and not allowing distractions? And part of that not allowing distractions is that I'm tunnel vision. I know exactly what I want. I know what I need to do, and I'm going to do it. So there's going to be some of us entrepreneurs have got what you call a shiny object syndrome. There's always a new opportunity. We've got to put those aside and be driven. What I'm seeing, like guys that are making 20 to 50 phone calls a day, they get into the office 7 o'clock. They're doing their script. They're doing their script development from 7 to 7:30. 7:30, they're hitting the phone, or they're doing their research on the listings. At 8 o'clock, they're hitting the phone, and they are disciplined. Nothing disturbs them. They're going into the office or their desk, and they are determined to do it until 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock, and then they're doing their appointments. Are we doing that day after day after day? If you do that day after day after day, week after week, month after month, you're going to have a damn good business. But you've got to be consistent. You've got to have those strong habits. And that comes with experience. In the beginning, it's pretty messy. I only get 10 phone calls. I can only do 10 phone calls this week because I'm trying to work out who do I phone, what do I say? And then the next week I'm pushing for 20. The next week I'm pushing for 40. And then you kind of work out what you're doing, and then you're hitting the 20 phone calls a day. It's a massive action. Okay, so it is a journey to get there. You don't feel bad if you're not hitting 100 phone calls a week in the beginning, but you're driving towards that. You're building habits. Okay, I'm going to go through a little bit more about self-development just now. Okay. So I'm not going to go through all of it, but it's courage, it's perseverance, it's independence and discipline. Please make notes of those. And I would have a pen and paper here. Do I have courage? Am I showing perseverance? Keep going. Am I being independent? Am I constantly looking for someone else to be my crutch, or am I looking to myself? And in using others around me to support me, as opposed to looking for someone to keep be the energy for me. And then lastly, am I being disciplined? Have I got these routines happening? Am I developing strong habits? And that is a struggle. I'm not saying it's not a struggle. This is a struggle. But this is why I'm asking you, what's holding you back? Is it our mindset? Am I not sold out enough to this? Am I really serious? Am I actually building those disciplines? Am I just flitting on this? I'm doing a bit of that, and I'm doing a bit of this, I'm doing a bit of that. You ain't going to make it work. You've got to be disciplined, have a focus. And this is where I come in and I'm willing to support each of you. You say, David, I'm trying to develop a strategy. I'm thinking about this, and this. What do you think? Let's talk to one another about it. I'm not saying, guys, you must do this, and then you're actually thinking about it. There is so much resources, there's so much training that we've done. It's not that the information is not there. Really, it's not that the information is not there. You actually got to take it on yourself. And like Steve Johnson's not helping with my agent attraction. I've got all the input, and I'm thinking about it and saying, okay, what works for me is I'm going to do X, Y, Z. And the same with your lead generation and your business development. But then so that's the disciplines. Am I actually serious about this? Is this real estate thing something I'm just trying out and seeing if it works? Well, I can really give you the answer. It's not going to work. No offense. So I can give you the answer. It's not going to work unless you are really sold out for it, really serious. And in mindset, it actually speaks out to what I'm seeing. And this is a difficult one to describe, is my mindset and my issues. All of us have some kind of issues. So, for example, I've been going to a psychologist this year, and one doesn't have to go to a psychologist. The only reason I can afford it is because it's got PMB. The PMB, the Discovery is paying for it. But what are the things in my past life or in my childhood, or what are my expectations? And we'll talk about what are some actions you can be doing. One of them is exposing ourselves to successful people, exposing ourselves to the way things. For example, I've been doing this agent attraction. I've been looking at every time before I speak to someone, I look at what is their listings number on Property 24. I dealt with an agent the other day, 203 listings. 203 listings. He's got 2 team members, so between the 3 of them, 203 listings. But one of his junior guys has 65 listings. And we say to myself, so this is possible. It's possible. I looked at Sotheby's agents in 4 ways. Oak's got 65 listings. So what's holding me back? Sometimes it's our expectation. Sometimes it's what I believe of myself. I'm not saying it's all the time, but this is why mindset is important. To know that and this is why you get sons of Springbok players that play Springboks later. It's because their dad plays Springbok, and that's kind of the norm, isn't it? Because that's what you do. A lot of it is your mindset and expectation. So some of these things is good to over time just be aware of. And so this is sometimes this is grade 10 stuff, but and part of our conversation could be what is holding me back. And this is a big thing I've been struggling with this year, is talking to, whether it's a coach or whether it's talking to psychologists. I was even meeting with my twin brother, and some of you don't know, I'm an identical twin. There's 2 of me, and a very good friend of ours who's a top consultant and coach. And what are the things, a guy that's earning $1 billion, what is different to that person to myself? Some of it's mindset, a lot of it's luck, I know, and environment, I know, but some of it is just, what is my mindset? Am I actually holding myself back? Guys, these are important things, and I'm dwelling on this for a while, is because sometimes we need to get out of our own way. And I'm seeing this because I'm dealing with so many different people, hundreds of people. Sometimes our own personal issues is what stops us from us succeeding. Now, I understand, I want to be very sympathetic and empathetic. Some of our environments are tougher than others. Some of us have had a really good upbringing, and some of us haven't had the opportunity of that. And I'm not going to be one of those people just say, get over it and move on. I'm just saying, be aware of it, and even, you know, chat to me about it. But that self-reflection, self-development, I think is important. Okay, cool. So personal development for success, going on from this, is expose yourself to the best, to raise your standards. I've just spoken about that. So if I'm watching podcasts of people that are selling 100 properties a year, it shows me that it's possible. And I mean, I've often used this in running. People say, well, I used to run marathons or 100Ks. I'm listening to podcasts of guys running 100 miles all the time. So people look and say, I'm running 100Ks. I'm saying, but okay, it is a big deal, and it's not. But for me, it's not actually, because I'm listening to things all the time as to how do you run 100Ks? How do you run 100 miles? I'm listening to that stuff all the time. It's not a big deal for me. So if you're listening to podcasts or watching podcasts or being exposed to guys that are selling 20 to 100 properties a year, it will raise your standards. Understand the mindset of these top achievers and do what they do. There's lots of, I'm going to reference some podcasts just now, and you don't have to watch 100 podcasts a day. You can even just look at one a week, or a YouTube channel for 10 minutes a week or whatever. But there's plenty of examples. John Cheplack, for example, is interviewing guys or ladies that are selling 100 properties a year. Now, maybe in South African context, that would only be 50. You know, anything more than 10 or 20 a year is now it becomes a top achiever. A capping agent is probably selling 5 to 6 properties a year. So it's not, the standard is not particularly incredibly high. But are we exposing ourselves to the best for your own personal development? We're talking about personal development now. The first 4 things I spoke about was your characteristics. Now I'm not talking about what are the things that can develop you personally to take that foundation of those 4 things to then take yourself further. Exposure, number 1 is expose yourself to the best. Number 2 is using personal development tools. YouTube, write these names down. Tom Ferry, John Cheplack, Glover Yu, Jackie Kravitz is quite a down-to-earth lady. For example, she's got, how do you get 1 listing a week? Like a little YouTube channel, 1 listing a week. Some of it's not, you've got to kind of go through some of these things. Some of it's not relevant to South African market, but the vast majority of these things we can learn from. Kevin Ray Ward, he talks about scripts, very good. Tom Ferry is probably the world's best real estate coach. John Sheplak is also a very top coach. Glover Hughes, a guy called Jeff Glover, a youngster, is more early 40s, I guess, late 30s. That's young, eh? Timber. He's done exceptionally well. His oaks are selling 250 units a year. There's something to learn from them. And what I'm saying about personal development, scripts, learning scripts, starting your day early in the morning, have a morning routine. I'm going to talk about that just now. It's like the real estate, the Millionaire Real Estate Agent, which is a book I read 20 years ago. That's what made Keller Williams. That book is what created Keller Williams, which is one of the world's, if not the world's biggest agency. EXP is taken over from them, but it's all the same. It's daily disciplines. It's doing lead generation first thing in the morning. It's your personal health. It's your emotional wellness. It's like, I wish there was some newfangled strategies. It's all the same. So I'm not saying stuff which is not unusual. It's about perseverance. It's about, it's all the same stuff. So Tom Ferry gives a lot of good stuff. John Sheplak, lots of, Tom Ferry, John Sheplak, also had podcasts as well, by the way. Personal development podcasts. Agent Academy is really good. Keeping It Real, the Brent Go podcast, very good. These are good podcasts to listen to. I'm not sure what is on Spotify, but this is what's on Apple Podcasts. Books, lots of books to read. The Millionaire Real Estate Agent, Zero to Diamond, List to Last, Momentum. Now maybe you can only afford to have one book, and that's great. But then choose one of these books, like Zero to Diamond or List to Last. The Millionaire Real Estate Agent is an old book, and that's quite expensive, 700-800 rand. But like Momentum, for example, I think it's $10 on Kindle. But guys, make a plan. I've read 19 books this year so far. Now I am a reader. I didn't have a TV when I grew up, so I wasn't allowed a TV, so I learned to read. But in my 14-hour days, I still get to read. I've got 19 books. I'll probably read there's another 8 or 10 books I'm busy reading at the moment, which I'm there. If any of you need a book, I can send you a book I've got. I'm quite happy to share books that I've got. Okay, so that's really up to you. But if you're not a reader, you can't be a leader. And I'm not saying all of you are going to read 20 books or 30 books in a year, but try and read at least one. And any one of us can read 5 pages a day. And if it's a 200-page book, that takes you a month to read a book. 30 times 5, yeah. 2 months to read a book if you're reading 5 pages a day. Anyone can do that. And you say, well, I need to succeed and I want to get out of the environment I'm in. Well, then read. Personal health, motivation, mental health, say no, feeding hope. Are we feeding ourselves with hope every day? There's lots of different things which demotivate us. Some of us just go outside our door and there's, the environment demotivates us. We've got to be feeding ourselves with hope. We've got to be looking after mental health. Look, I have antidepressants. I've got to watch my mental health every day of the week. This is why I feed myself with positive stuff. My faith obviously helps me a lot to know there's a greater hope. But we've also got to say no to nonsense. Say no to some of that nonsense that we read on News 24, or say no to the friends that are constantly being negative. Okay, personal health and motivation, I think, is super important. Okay, so that's on personal development for success. I just want to go into skills development. We spoke about the 4 things, characteristics of successful agents. We spoke about some practicalities for personal development, whether it's feeding ourselves with podcasts and YouTube stuff, which is free, reading books. It's making sure that we personally are healthy. The reason I'm saying all this, guys, is because what I'm ultimately hoping that each of you will be is independence. My goal is not to build a team that constantly is arriving at, when I come to Joburg or Cape Town, I've got 30 or 100 people that are arriving on site. Ideally, I'd want, it's not ideal, but when there's only 2 people here today so far in Joburg. So glad you guys can make it. But is a bunch of people that are saying, you know what, David, cool, thanks for your support. I will use your support when I need it, but I'm cool, I'm sorted. I'm on my own, I'm independent, I'm doing deals, I've got my own flow. That is success for me. Success for me isn't you guys wanting me all the time or depending on me. That's not my goal. My goal is to bring folk on, resource them, provide them the tools, obviously, and let them be independent. That's the goal. So I'm not trying to create a whole bunch of children. Obviously, as a team develops, I'm always available when you are independent and running on your own. I'm always here to celebrate you, to be with you, to be a resource, but not because you depend on me. Okay, so we've gone through some of the personal development stuff. Just skills development. Can you just make sure each one of you, especially some of you are new, and some of you are relatively new, please make sure you're going through these things. Number one is Steve Johnson's onboarding. The model explained.co.za /welcome. Okay, it's a 1.5 hour video. Please make sure you've gone through it. Okay, that will then give you an insight and introduction to the EXP info. Okay, can I ask you that you do that, please? That's your own skills development. The other thing is the EXP Realty training. This is brand new, which I'm very excited about. I'm going to show you a link now, but there's a whole lot of videos. The first one is Launchpad, which gives you a lot of good information about EXP and the EXP resources. Everything from how do you use Rep, how do you load your stuff onto DocFox, etc., etc. I'm going to show you the links now. There's path 1 to production. So any new agent that comes, I'm going to say the first thing you need to do is start with Launchpad, number 1, and number two is do path 1 to production. That's your foundation. It's 4 hours 30. It's a whole lot of short videos, and I think that's very productive for you to use. And then there's path 2 to capping, which the more experienced agents should be doing. And then there's path 3 to personalization, which is the last 1.5 hours. Okay, so I just want to get when you get there. Okay, guys. So that's Okta. I'm actually going to stop sharing, and I'm going to show you on the internet now. Just 1 second. Okay, cool. Let me just share this screen. Let me just get it up. Okay. So this is the welcome video that I mentioned. You just go to Okta. Okay, so this is one of the things that you've got to get onto. Those that are new, Okta it's like the app. It's like your cell phone screen with a whole lot of EXP apps on. Okay, when you see that. EXP Learning Paths is where the new EXP training is. Can I make a note? Can you guys make a note, please? Is that we need to be going through that. Okay, EXP South African Agent Learning Paths. That's then going to put you through to something called Trackstar or EXP University. So Reimagine Learning, South Africa Agent Paths, learning objective. Part of EXP Agents, Realty's agent-centric strategy seeks to provide quality development for its agents. These learning paths are designed to enhance an agent's real estate knowledge and help them drive their business growth and success. Each path focuses on the agent's level of experience while building their skills so they can improve production. Okay. So you got Launchpad, path to production. So new agents need to be doing the first two. So let's look at Launchpad. Okay. So basically what you do is you start with Launchpad and you start the first video and it will get you, you just follow that process. Okay. Path to production and you just follow that process. Does that make sense? Okay. So an Okta, on Okta, that's on the bottom right. So when the screen is a bit more like that, it's in the bottom right. SA Agent Learning Paths, you go into that. It'll then do path to production, and you can see Launchpad here. You just go through these videos. Okay. Does that make sense? I'm hoping it does make sense. It makes sense. You see, Timber, when we get new team members, we don't have to pretend that we know all the answers. Our job is, as you get new team members and new agents on, is to direct them to these resources, which are really good resources, excellent resources. Stuart Hislop, who's the trainer, excellent stuff. I mean, he's a professional real estate trainer. This is really good materials. But you see, the thing is that if we're not using the materials, it doesn't exist. You can't say, oh, but I'm not getting support. It's there. The difference between us and a little office down the road is that an office down the road is that new agents, you have to be at this meeting at 9 o'clock on Monday, otherwise we're not going to support you anymore. We don't work with that in Forest Park Group Power EXP. We're saying we are a bunch of mature adults. We are driven for success, and I'm going to do the resources that's been given me. I'm going to actually do it. Okay. Okay, hope that makes sense. Let's get back to the presentation. Cool. It's guys, I would highly recommend it, especially the onboarding stuff. It's 2.5 hours. It goes through all the EXP stuff, which is very exciting. It's amazing how you look through it and you say, but hang on, this all makes sense. When I first joined EXP, yes, the overwhelm was incredible. I didn't know what the hell was happening. Within a week or two, I was struggling through it and actually using the resources where it trains you. It actually all makes sense. It clicks and say, hang on, this is pretty cool. This is awesome stuff. So yeah, let's use it. Okay. I just want you to have a bit of a comment, guys, on what I've just said. It sounds quite not hardcore, but like quite a high standard. And I just want to be, add a caring touch to that. Is that all of us have our different struggles. Life is tough, man. It is. And I want to acknowledge that. It's not only business is tough, but we've got personal challenges, and every one of us has some story that's happened in the background, some relative that's died, or my dad has got a little wine farm in the Western Cape. He lost his entire crops. That's devastating for him, and that's just for money. We've got people that lost family homes in this floods. We've got tenants. We've got tenants that have struggled, and we go into our Joburg CBD, and there's very real struggles. I mean, I do urban ministry stuff, and I understand this context. I just want to, from a pastoral perspective, to say, look, life is tough, and that's one of the reasons why I am saying what I'm saying, is that I'm setting a standard that we can try and reach and go towards, but knowing that the journey there is a little messy. It means that I fall over a whole lot of the times. Maybe I fall over 20 times in a day. And then progress is I only fall over 19 times the next day. Well, I'm a single dad or a single mom, and I've got to look after my kids first thing in the morning. Well, I've got relationship challenges beyond my control. Or I've got my own little demons I'm dealing with every day. I just want to say I acknowledge the reality of that. However, in addition to that, I'm still encouraging us to move forward, to press forward, that life, there is hope and there is life to be had going forward. Okay. to set a standard that we don't or only have to live in the gutter. Okay, so I just want to add, and when we are new into the business, just from a support and coaching perspective, I'm not saying that we don't need guidance or support and help, especially if we're new in the business. I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying I will spend, and there's a couple of you guys where I spend over and above what I should actually be spending, because I feel that there's something to work with. That individual is showing capacity, tenacity. They're showing proactivity, even in the midst of their own challenges and socioeconomic challenges. They are still doing their bit. Then I've got all the time in the world for that. So I'm just saying that, but if someone is not going to have that attitude or feel like if they've got that victim mentality, it's just not going to work. So yeah, hear what I'm saying in the greater picture. Okay.